What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our MLB Top 100 Players re-rank of MLB Network's list. As always, you got to hit that subscribe button to get us to 500 subscribers, where we will be doing an automatic giveaway of memorabilia and whatnot. So all you have to do to be entered to that is hitting our subscribe button down below. So let's get into it here and reviewing what we had at 50 in the last video with Andres Gimenez, dropping a little bit from his MLB Network ranking, but still a good player. And then we'll move to our first new player in this video with Jeff McNeil. He's also moving down a little bit from MLB Network's ranking, but he had a very solid season last year, hitting 326, which is now very rare in today's home run era of MLB. The on-base percentage was almost 400. His OPS was just okay, but nothing too crazy. But, he is the contact hitter and moving guys over for the Mets. And if he has another season like this, he can make the Mets an immediate contender with all those bats that they have in that lineup, and they can almost win maybe 100 games if he keeps playing the way he does. 48, we have Marcus Semien, and he struggled for the first 3 months of the year, and after that, I think it was after June, he really just picked it up and improved his numbers. At one point, he was hitting, I think, 205, 210, around that 200, and then he moved up to almost 250 at the end of the year. That's a huge, step for him as he moves into the second year with Texas, and I expect his numbers to be even better than they were last year. 47, we have Edwin Diaz, one of the best closers in all of MLB. Last year was absolutely electric and shut down any team in the ninth. 62 innings pitched, 1.31 ERA, K to walk ratio is almost 7, 118 strikeouts, and that's almost 2 strikeouts an inning that he averaged, and he had 32 saves to go along with it. So it's a well-deserving 47. At 46, we have our now second-year player, Michael Harris, for the Braves. This might be one of his lowest rankings till, he's at least 30 years old. He put up a solid year, almost hitting 300. Really took over for the Braves, and him and Acuna this year, Dansby's bat is out of the lineup, but him, Acuna, Riley, and Olsen, and even Sean Murphy, we'll throw him in there, could be a very scary 1 through 5 moving forward. So if he does anything similar, maybe a little regression just because it's his second year and he'll have to adjust. His team's pitching to him. I still expect him to have a very good year. At 45, we have Byron Buxton, who, he doesn't stay healthy, but when he does, he is probably a top 25 player in the league, and that's why I just couldn't put him up there. MLB Network kind of had it right there around the 50s, and I, moved him up a little bit, but when he is on the field, he is a very good player and immediately makes the Twins a much better team. You could see there in only the 92 games he played, he had a WAR of 4, so he does make a positive impact on the field when he is playing, but that's the key, when he is playing. At 44, I have Kyle Schwarber, who's staying put, just where he was in the MLB Network ranking. Nothing too crazy, except he hit 46 home runs with 94 RBIs, but the average is a little bit low from what you'd like to see from a power guy, but from a fantasy baseball perspective, he's a top 20 player just because he hits all those home runs. The Phillies are going to love his bat yet again this year in the lineup. A team that's going to be trying to get back to the World Series, and they're going to have to do it on the backs of Schwarber's bat with Bryce Harper. At 43, we have the newest first baseman for the Houston Astros in Jose Abreu. I think this is an excellent signing for the Astros, getting a great contact hitter that has pop still in his bat. He is a little bit older in age, but I think the Astros will get the most out of him. And first base was one of the positions they have been lacking in the last few years with Yoli Gurriel, and getting Trey Mancini last year. It just doesn't seem like those guys were really going to stick around much longer anyways. So they brought in Abreu, I think, in a 2-year deal. Hopefully he can do what he does best, just hit the ball. I mean, this guy a few years ago was the MVP in the MLB, so he's definitely not too far out from that, but let's see if he can keep up his strong play. At 42, I have another first baseman, Matt Olson, for the Braves. In his first year, he had a pretty solid year with over 100 RBIs. The average of 240 was pretty good for him. That's normally where he hits 240, 250 area. And, that Braves lineup is going to be scary with Michael Harris and Sean Murphy now included, his old teammate. So the Braves will have to pitch to one of those three guys. And Olsen, is going to be the lefty bat with Michael Harris in the lineup. So if they put them back to back, you're going to have to bring in a righty or a lefty to face them. And that could cause, some more hits for the guys after those guys are stuck in between. So you gotta, see it out. And Matt Olson is a guy that last year was pretty rare. Played in all 162 games, which is very rare nowadays in the MLB. 41, we have a catcher in Will Smith for the Dodgers. He's always around this 45, 50, 40, wherever in the MLB Network rankings. And he just every year puts up solid numbers for a catcher hitting-wise. He's a great defensive catcher as well. Playing 137 games is a lot from a catcher nowadays. And 24 home runs, 87 RBIs in that loaded Dodger lineup. You can't complain about that. At 40, we have another catcher, Adley Rutschman, who burst on the scene last year. And, got off to a slow start, but a week or two in, he started picking it up and hitting well. Only 113 games played. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do with 50 more games. Hopefully, he plays almost all of them. I think his average will rise a little bit. Home run numbers should no doubtably be higher. The sky's the limit for this guy, and could be one of the first catchers to really take over the sport in a long time. At 39, I have Carlos Rondon joining his third team in as many years with the New York Yankees. I think that's a great sign for the Yankees, getting a left-handed pitcher and, bringing in a guy that was very electric last year. Under 3 ERA, 237 strikeouts, and only 31 starts. So this guy was putting up very good numbers in all his starts last year and just makes this Yankee roster even better. At 38, I have Jacob deGrom, and, MLB Network had him 10 spots higher, but I want to put him up there, but his injury concerns, just for me, kept putting him down in this list. He's already had a problem this spring training in his first time throwing, and who knows how this is going to go for Texas. But, they spent a lot of money to get this guy, and when he's healthy, he's like Byron Buxton, one of the best guys on the field, no doubtably one of the best pitchers in the game. But that's the key. If he can stay healthy as well, then deGrom can earn himself a higher ranking going into next year. 37, I have Max Fried for the Atlanta Braves. The lefty that no one really saw coming a few years ago has really turned himself into an ace with an ERA under 2.5. A WAR of almost 6 for a pitcher is very good, and he is the ace in the Braves clubhouse right now. So if he can do anything like that, he's going to get his wins and get the Braves in a position to win every single game. Another pitcher is Zach Wheeler. He finally had his second career year from him. He's always been hurt with the Mets, and then he goes to the Phillies and really figures it out and stays healthy. And I think, he's really found his groove. The Phillies look like it's going to be his home for the long haul. And this guy really just dominated last year in the postseason as well. So the Phillies are very glad that they got him through trading, and they're excited to see what the future holds still for this guy. At 35, I have Garrett Cole, who took a little bit of a hit last year. I think he gave up the second most home runs in the MLB, but that does come with pitching over 200 innings. And 33 starts. It's a lot compared to a lot of other guys, but he still was very good on the mound, shutting guys down. Nothing too crazy like he has had in previous years, but this is just because he's pitching in Yankee Stadium, and about half those starts were in Yankee Stadium, where it's a hitter-friendly park. So maybe he got bailed out on away games, or maybe he got screwed on home games. But it all equals out to even stats, and he is still one of the best pitchers in the game. At 34, I have another catcher with JT Realmuto, and his storyline was not being healthy the previous 2 years, but he finally figured it out this year. Got 139 games played until the postseason and kept playing, and he put up solid numbers with a WAR of almost 7, which is very, very good for a catcher. So his impact is great on that Phillies team last year and was a big key part for that World Series run. But JT Realmuto is one of the best catchers in baseball and is well deserving of this ranking. At 33, I have Fernando Tatis Jr. And this guy, has been plagued by injury. He's struggling already in the outfield, in spring training, the PEDs. He can play in a spring training game, but he can't play in the World Baseball Classic. That doesn't make too much sense to me, but when he is on this field, he is a very good player. You can see his stats there from 2021. Obviously, almost a guy that could be in the 30 for 30 club for home runs and stolen bases. But his thing is how he's going to respond after not playing, meaningful baseball in almost 2 years. At 32, I have Bo Bichette, Blue Jays player who's been really good these last few years. Almost hitting 300 last year. Nothing too crazy from home run standpoint, which I thought could be a little higher for him, maybe around 30. Maybe he'll get that this year, but playing in almost every game last year, his numbers very show for how good of a player he is, and a good 2, 3, 4, 5 hitter for the Blue Jays wherever they put him. And I think he's going to be a piece for them moving forward as well. 31, we have Dansby Swanson, who signed with the Cubs this offseason. And it's a great signing for the Cubs because they get a solid shortstop for the long haul. And Dansby, if he hits anything like that for the Cubs, they will more than happily take that. It was a career year for him last year with the Braves. And, he played every game as well. Very few people do that nowadays. And if he keeps staying healthy, then he is going to be a great player for years to come. 30, I have Corey Seager, another shortstop and after his first year with the Rangers, it was a little bit of a disappointment early on, but at the end of the year, he picked it up, and his numbers back it up with 33 home runs, 83 RBIs. He is another key piece for that middle infield with Simeon, and those two guys, take up a lot of that payroll moving forward, so they got to produce. 29, I have Xander Bogaerts, who is not with the Red Sox. He is with the San Diego Padres this year after signing that contract, which is very surprising to me that the Red Sox didn't try to re-sign him. Instead, they let him walk, and now he's a Padre, of course, with that loaded lineup. Hitting over 300, 15 home runs. I think that will increase this year. And he is a very good player that will improve his game, with a loaded lineup around him. And the Padres lineup's going to be very scary to pitch to. So if you're in fantasy baseball, you got to get maybe not a Soto or Machado because those guys are higher up on the boards. But Cronenworth, Bogarts could be guys that fly under the radar and consistently produce. 28, Francisco Lindor checks in here. Not 21 where MLB Network had him, but I have him just a little lower just because of his injury concerns we've seen in the past. But nonetheless, he's still very good on the field. His average is a little bit lower than I have, seen it in the past and would like to see it. But, he keeps the Mets in ball games with his defense and his hitting as well, being able to hit a home run at almost any point when the Mets need it. It feels like he's always there for him in the clutch. So I got to give him the top 30 ranking. And his teammate Pete Alonso comes in at 27, where he is another guy that can hit a home run pretty much whenever he wants. It feels like he's always there in the clutch, always comes in with the big home runs or big at bat. And last year he backed that up with his year before, previous great year, with hitting 271, 131 RBIs and almost 162 games played. So Pete Alonso is another guy for the Mets that they see for the foreseeable future having a big role. And lastly, for 26, I have Corbin Burns with the Milwaukee Brewers, but for how long is going to be the question mark. This offseason they had discussions about arbitration and whatnot, and Burns was not happy with how that ended. Could it impact their relationship moving forward? Yes, for sure. But will it? I don't know about that. We'll just have to let the season plan out. But if he puts up any numbers like he normally does, then he deserves to get as much money as he's getting. He's a top 10 pitcher in the league right now. Agree to disagree. And I just think that he is a very good player. And the Brewers, they rely on pitching to win games. And, when you have a guy like Corbin Burns, it's easy to do so. But that's going to be it for the video this time. Make sure you guys come back tomorrow to check out the last 25 players entering the 2023 season. But that's going to be it for the video today. The Bench Buddies are out.